You ever feel like life's whispering, "It's time"? That's the whisper I followed. From the city lights of Atlanta to the soul-stretching skies of Auckland, welcome to Being, the podcast where bold moves meet deep truths. I'm Shea Love, and each week I'm sharing the messy, the magical, and meaningful moments that come with starting over and stepping fully into who you are. What does it mean to find connection in a whole new land? Somewhere between quiet dinners for one and whispered prayers, a question stirred in me. What would it feel like to be seen again, chosen again, connected in a new way? And then just when I wasn't expecting it, something unfolded. A compliment at a hotel door, a bouquet of flowers, a date that felt soft, thoughtful, real. In this episode of Being, I share a story about one unexpected night in Auckland where even when you're not looking, connection finds you anyway. Yes, I've thought about it. What would it be like to be single in Auckland, New Zealand? What does love look like when you're a Black American woman thousands of miles from home, building a new life in a place where everything and everyone is unfamiliar? I'm in a phase in my life where I deeply desire connection, real connection, a relationship built on companionship, mutual growth, and a soul-level understanding. And it's been years since my divorce. But in that time, I've experienced the kind of freedom that only comes from rebuilding your world on your own terms. I've created a life that reflects who I truly am, my values, my pace, my purpose. And that solo journey has been beautiful, empowering even. But if I'm being honest, it's also been lonely at times. There's something special about doing life on your own, but there's also something tender about admitting that you don't want to do it alone forever. And I'm craving something more intimate now, something reciprocal and real. Now, I knew it was going to be different from Atlanta, where the energy is crazy bold, the dating pool's deep, and the social life spills from live music sets to art shows. There are opportunities to meet someone everywhere. But even with all that access, the real challenge for me in Atlanta was finding honest, grounded connections. People just living in their truth. No highlight reels, just realness. And by the time I truly began considering what dating in Auckland might look like, I was already in a space of surrender. I was ready for new energy, a new way of connecting, and I was genuinely open to people of different backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, open to new ways of relating, open to being seen and loved differently than I'd ever imagined. What surprised me was how quickly something unexpected happened. Let me be clear. When I arrived in Auckland, I was focused on settling in, adjusting, handling the logistics of my move. But there was one night where, oh my gosh, I felt it, that ache, a flicker of loneliness, the kind that shows up quietly like a whisper in the heart. And I remember praying just a quick prayer, unfiltered prayer. God, I just need a little attention, something light. A reminder that love still exists. And listen, the way God be moving. The very next day, some friends from Atlanta were visiting Auckland, and we made dinner plans. I was staying in a hotel that required a key card for entry after a certain hour. And I was in the lobby waiting on my Uber driver to arrive when I noticed a man standing outside. And I didn't think much of it because people were always standing outside. But once my ride arrived, I stepped outside. He approached me respectfully and he said, "I noticed you earlier. I wanted to come inside and introduce myself, but the doors were locked. So I waited. I just wanted to tell you, you're so beautiful." Wow. I was caught off guard in a good way. We exchanged names, and he told me he worked across the street. He mentioned he was originally from Sri Lanka, which also made me smile. Something about that moment already felt expansive, like a quiet confirmation of the openness I had been leaning into. He asked me how long I'd be in Auckland and if I'd like to get together. I gave him my Instagram handle, and though he was hesitant, thinking I might not check it, I reassured him that that was the best way to reach me for now. So later that evening, he messaged and invited me to dinner that weekend, and I figured, you know what? Why not? Saturday rolled around, and y'all, this man had a plan. Reservations, a nice location, a proper date that alone felt like a refreshing shift. He texted me ahead of time to let me know that he was running late. He was looking for parking. And I said, you know what? No worries. But when he walked in, he came in with flowers. I don't know why that touched me the way that it did. Maybe because I'd forgotten what it feels like to be thoughtfully considered, or maybe because the gesture, simple, intentional, it reminded me that it was something my heart had been quietly hoping for. There was something timeless about him showing up with something as simple as flowers. Like he'd taken a moment to think about what it might make me feel like to be seen. A small offering that said, I'm showing up with care. The evening, it unfolded with great ease, filled with lighthearted conversation and that kind of effortless flow you hope for but rarely expect. What struck me most was the way he looked at me with a softness that felt both enamored and innocent, like, he was genuinely seeing me, not just watching. And at one point, he smiled and said I reminded him of his favorite pop singer, Whitney Houston, which I laughed, unsure of how to respond, so I just smiled. It was sweet and unexpected. Later that night, we ended up dancing in a bar on Ponsonby, spontaneous, joyful, unchoreographed. There was no pretense, just presence. And in that moment, I felt something open in me. A quiet reminder that connection is still possible, that romance doesn't have to be perfect to be real, that being seen, truly seen, is still within reach. That whole experience taught me a few things. That tenderness does still exist in the world, that attention can arrive softly without performance, without pressure. And sometimes it's not about rushing in to find the one, but simply knowing you're still worthy of the kind of love that brings you flowers, makes you laugh, and meets you gently, right where you are. You're probably wondering, well, what happened next? Well, nothing grew from that moment. I realized I wasn't quite ready to invite someone into this new chapter. Not yet. But stay tuned. The story of Shea Love finding love, it's still unfolding. You've been listening to Being from Atlanta to Auckland. I'm Shea Love, and if this episode made you feel seen, maybe it sparked something deep or reminded you that change is possible, go ahead and follow, subscribe, and send it to a friend. This journey is just starting. Keep stretching, keep rising, and always keep being.